Okay, so here's the space after the demolition. So we've basically, in this multi-purpose room, which will also be a movie theater, we had to demolish the ceilings, right? And then obviously the windows have all been replaced, and we're currently fixing those. And then we're going to put the movie screen over there, and we'll put speakers in the ceilings and speakers at the back here as well. So eventually this will be a movie room that can also be used for other purposes, for other events as well as movies. Okay, so let me just show you around a little bit what we're doing. So you can see here we've laid out where the seating areas will be. Okay, this is where the seating areas will be, and this is the stage here. You can see up there stage, and then above the stage you see that blocks there. That box will have the projector screen that'll come up and down, and we'll be putting the projector up around this area here. Okay? Over here we're going to be laying down a electrical cable all the way through here. And what we're going to do is have the electrical cable go the whole length, and so we can put the subwoofer. So we're going to have two subwoofers, so a subwoofer over there and a subwoofer over here. If you come here and take a look, there's this tube here, and this is where the cable for the subwoofer will come out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move the subwoofer up and down in the room, back and forth in the room, until we find the right location for the sound. So normally in a typical design and construction project, all those positions of the speakers are fixed early on and then built that way. Whereas when you're dealing with acoustics, you want to have flexibility to move the location during the construction process, and that's what we're doing with this project. As you can see here, we have all of the tubes here, which are allowing the wires to come out for the speakers. We're going to have one big speaker here, one speaker in the middle, and one speaker on the far side of the stage. The wires will go back behind the stage to this area, and it'll be wired up here, and all the equipment will be placed back here as well as the electrical. In addition to that, the embassy has asked that this be hard, so we're not allowed to carpet. So that's going to cause some reflections off the floor. Obviously, you'd like to have a soft floor, but you can't in this room. So what we're going to do is we have this ceilings over here. If you take a look, the ceilings here are perforated, and above the perforated ceiling we will have layers of foam, of acoustically absorbent foam, so that what happens is the air can go into the panels and go up and get absorbed by the foam above the ceiling, and that'll allow that when there's a reflection from the ground up to the ceiling, that it doesn't go back and forth, but that it actually gets absorbed into the ceiling, and that should lower the amount of reflections in the room. So here we're going to have the insulation, and this insulation is what's going to go in the ceiling above those ceiling tiles that we just showed you. So because this is fiberglass, you know, it needs to be covered. So we're going to cover it with this material here. As you can see, it's very important that this material allows the air in. So it's not airtight, so the air will actually be able to penetrate into here, and then the sound will be able to be absorbed into the fiberglass. If this was sort of more of plastic or something like that, the results wouldn't be as good. So it is important that this can allow airflow through. Okay. Over here we have the electrical box, and what we're going to do is we're going to move the electrical box from here over to the other side of the room, and we're going to make sure that each piece of equipment has its own circuit breaker and its own direct line, so that the electrical for the room is as good as we can possibly make it. So we're also going to make sure that the electrical is properly done in this room. There's a lot of windows in this room, and that's not ideal for a movie room. It's not good for acoustics, and it's also really not good for the lighting for the movie room. But what we're going to do in front of the room is we're going to have blackout curtains. We're going to have 2 layers of curtains, and the blackout curtains, there's also a lip here so that the curtains go behind another wall, and as long on the ceiling there you can also see the curtains will go up and inside that box up there, and that'll prevent light from coming in with the blackout curtains. So if the curtains are done correctly and there's proper blackout curtains all the way to the end, all the way to the ceiling, all the way into here, then it should create a nice dark environment that'll allow for the movie room to be a nice immersive experience. Another thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be painting the walls, and also the curtains are all dark colors so that we don't have a lot of reflections off the walls, and that should also make it so that it's a more immersive movie room experience. In this room design, one of the tricky things about this room is it's almost a square, so the low frequencies, there's going to be a lot of interference in the low frequencies, and to deal with that we're going to have to be very careful about the subwoofer placement. We're going to most likely put the subwoofer on one on this wall and one on that wall, but the specific location will have to change, and you cannot just rely on the software to make that change. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to wire both sides of the room, but we're going to wire it long enough, and then we're going to move the subwoofers back and forth and test at each location on both sides until we're sure of where the best sounding position for the subwoofers are. And at that point we will then put in the electrical outlets into those locations. We also have the wires for the internal walls. This is for the low frequency, this is for the subwoofers, and this is for the speaker cable, and it's all oxygen-free copper, and it's imported from Japan, and it should make the sound quality going from the amplifier to the speakers, it should improve the sound quality greatly. So another little trick we have here is this wire here. And you can see this little point here, this goes on the machine, and this is what this does is it allows the signal from the remote control, because out here is where the audience will be, and the machine rack will be here, so there will be no line of sight with the remote control. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this on top of the speaker, and the remote control can send the signal to there. Then this is put into the power source, and this will be put on top of the AV receiver or any machine that we want to control. And what it does is it transmits the signal from out there through the wall and to here, and then that allows you to use the remote control through the wall. Okay, so here we are at the electrical box, and this has been replaced from the one before, which actually only had a few circuit breakers and was kind of messy. So we've cleaned it up, added a lot more circuit breakers. This will make the quality of the sound in the movie theater much better by reducing the amount of interference in the electrical. And each one of these circuit breakers is connected to a separate outlet down here, and so there'll be one outlet per circuit breaker. And the outlets will be this audio grade outlet that we'll be using, and that also greatly improves the sound as well. We brought in a large wire all the way from the outside to also improve the electrical to the box. This just hasn't been connected yet. Yeah, so here we are with the subwoofers, and these are going to get placed a little bit later after the electrical is all finished, and then we will have a special video just about how to place these correctly. It should be quite interesting. Now we've also got the doors ready, okay? And before we actually do the final testing of the video system, we have to make sure all the doors are closed, because you need to make sure that the air cavity is fully closed, and that greatly affects the acoustics. So if we didn't have the doors on and we did the testing of the sound in that room, it wouldn't be the same as if we had the doors closed. So we want to make sure the doors are installed before we go further with actually testing the sound of the system. If you look up at the ceiling here, you'll see that there's all these perforation holes, and this acts as an absorber, and it'll absorb the mid and high frequencies. And behind all of this, we've added 10 centimeters of fiberglass, and so what happens is the air will go in through the holes and get absorbed up in here, and this will absorb the mid to high frequencies. It's given the budget constraints, it's probably the best solution we can come up with. And what happens is that dampens the reflective noise. So if there's sound reflecting from the floor to the ceiling, it'll get absorbed in the ceiling, so we don't have the floor to ceiling reflections as bad as before. And right here up on the stage, if you look up here, this is where the projector screen will be put. You can see the cavity up there, and that's where the projector screen will come up and down. And we'll have our speakers here, here, and here. And then of course there'll be 2 speakers at the ceiling and 2 speakers at the back of the room. But at first we just have to get the basic construction of the room done before we can actually test the speakers and make final modifications to the acoustics of the room. Okay, so for the projector, we're going to use this outlet. Okay, it's an American outlet, and it's just got a higher quality, so it'll transmit the power better. Surprisingly, I found that using a better outlet and a better power cable for the projector actually improves the image a lot. So, you know, we've already spent quite a lot of money on the projector, so we want to make sure it has a good source of power. We've also got a direct line from the power box to the projector. So, we're going to first install one of these up inside there. Yeah, here you go. I'm going to install one of these up there. And then we also got special power cables, right? So I've gotten some special power cables we've made by a factory in China here called Xun. And basically the power cable will connect to that outlet and then connect to the projector. And yes, it totally improves the image. I've already tested this out. So this is what we're doing for this project. So for this room, we chose these blackout curtains, and they don't allow any light actually through. But the concern is that the light can come from under or above or around the sides. So we came up with a couple solutions for how to do that. One was that we have this depth here, and this prevents the light from coming through. We also have a lip above there, which also allows the light to stop coming through. In addition to seal edge, we have this here, which then creates a nice light, a tight light seal on the edge, and then that keeps the movie room as dark as possible. These are sort of typical electrical outlets, and we just plug in regular equipment into that. But for the AV receiver and the amplifier, we want to have a better outlet and better quality power line. So we have these two plugs for those. So as you can see here, he's just putting the electrical cord through the bracket, which will connect to the projector. And that way we don't see the cord sticking out, so it'll look nice and clean, but it'll also provide good power and create a nice sharp image so that people can enjoy their movies more. Basically what we're trying to do is here we have a VIP section, and this is where we want to have the best low frequencies. So we want to be testing the sound in this area by moving the subwoofers around. We also have another subwoofer over here, and we'll be adjusting these to the right location until we have the right bass frequency in this main seating area here. So today our goal was to fix where the subwoofers are located. Unfortunately, we weren't able to because we are just still making a lot of adjustments to the sound, and we're going to add some additional sound treatments to the room because there's too much reflection. Here's the back of our AV receiver and our amplifier, okay? And for the AV receiver, we have a few different HDMI cables. This one is for the Apple TV, okay? Then we also have an HDMI that connects to here. We also have another HDMI cable, and this one connects to the stage out there, okay? And we'll have a picture of the stage there. We also have another HDMI cable here, and this is a very high quality cable, and that connects to the projector. Then we have these RCA cables, and these are actually very high quality RCA cables, and they are silver plated, and they connect from the AV receiver to the amplifier to power the front 3 speakers. Okay? And then of course we have here these purple things, which are the power cords, and we have a high quality power cord for the projector as well as for all of the pieces of equipment. So if you look here, you can see that from like say 20 hertz to 50 hertz, we have a big dip here. And then we have a big spike from say around 50 hertz to about 150 or so. So this whole area here has some major problems. This is a little bit better, but this is a bigger problem in the low frequencies, which is what we were expecting when we did the model last week. So basically, what we've decided based on today, we had a meeting with a person from the embassy, and he agreed the sound had some problems. So what we're going to do over the next week or two is we're going to build a large sound absorber from the ceiling all the way down here, and we're going to make a big triangle there to cut that corner out. On this side of the room, we're also going to cover all the speakers, and we're going to build some sound absorption out to here, about 10 centimeters, and then we're going to go from there all the way up to just behind the projector and build the thickest sound absorber that we possibly can, just to get better absorption in the room and less echo, and hopefully that'll make the movie experience and listening to music experience much better than before. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next couple weeks, so stay tuned for the next video when we get all that done and see what the final result is.